Just want to give you gentlemen and ladies, because there's plenty of ladies repairing stuff out there, or oh, we won't go into this, but just want to give you a little tip. If you're doing a Barcrest MPU4, no matter what condition it's in, change this strip down here. This right there, I believe that is 22. It's IC19, sorry. It's a 74 LS22. Always change it. It is right next to the battery, and even if the battery has been removed, the corrosion gets underneath that chip. That was horrific. It took a fair bit of cleaning up to get that to that state. Anyways, I'll give you a once over of this board. This is hopefully part one of several. This is a board from a place called Bathgate Amusements nearby me. The board got dropped off to me a couple of months ago now. So can you do anything with it? So as you can see, I've started work on it and started cleaning things up. It actually had a short on 2 pins here thanks to corrosion under this chip. The corrosion is spread up here and shorted this pin here. I think it's D5 up to a part here and up to a part there, and it was stopping the board running. So I've taken all that off. These two were corroded, that was corroded, that was dead. These three, they weren't dead, but they were fairly cloudy and corroded, so all off. Cleaned up these traces here, cleaned up a bit of corrosion here. It's been washed with IPA. Show you the backside. Still got a little whirling to put back on there. That's for the battery charging circuit. Battery has got the trace. I've taken all the solder off the edge connector here because I'm going to reflow it because it was grey and corroded. That's a scratch, it's not damage to the board, but it should hopefully clean it up and spring back to life. So my intention with it is I'll put these parts on today, buzz everything out. I've already started doing, and I'll replace the parts now. I'm speaking to the owner here. The parts that are going back on it are not going to be new. At the minute, you can't get them without needing a second mortgage. I've taken non-good parts off the scrap boards. With any luck, we shouldn't have too many issues. Yeah, I've got them. I've got my pile of parts over here, ready to go on. So, we shall see how we progress. If I run into weird issues, I'll get the camera back on, but at the minute all I'm going to do is I'm not going to use sockets, because this board's going to be an active service, and sockets give you something called chip creep, where gradually over time the chip will creep and pop back out the socket and stop things working. You have to open the machine, open the board and press the socketed parts back in the socket. CPU came with a socket. This was already here. That's fine. That's a turn pin socket, and that CPU has never been out there, so that's not concerning me. So yeah, we'll see how we get on. So to be continued. The wee addition, when you're putting these things together, the chips aren't always the same way around. So what things hold for is that little square. It tends to be that pin 1, the pad for pin 1 is a square. See it there, see it there, see it there. Or you can do what I do as well, which is, it's good practice. I've got another complete board that I use for reference, but you'll find that on most circuit boards pin 1's a square, if it's not labelled. So We've got the first chip ready here to go on, and we'll get cracking. Alrighty, I jumped ahead a wee bit. I told you they're not new parts or tools. There's a sticker on it for some reason. Somebody put a colourful fancy sticker on the previous board that this was in, but that was in. Got it all together, and for all intents and purposes it looks like it's working. I'll show you. Make sure I've got watch my terrible camera skills. 18. Chip select's blinking away in the RAM. Got no display, but I still think the board's working, because if I go over here, 2, 3, I've got an interrupt blinking away in the processor, and I tend to see, when you see an interrupt line like that blinking away, it tends to be the heartbeat. Most of these games, the programs are interrupt based, so if that IRQ line's pulsing away like that, the board's running. What I think is going on with it is, I think there's a trace break between those 3 resistors there and these 2 chips here, and that's very, very common. The reason it happens is because a couple of these traces that are here that have been assaulted by the battery, there the line's going down to the alpha display. In fact, you can see them there, 1, 2, 3. Those top 3 there are going to the alpha display. You can see them tracking down around the board. So it's going to be a couple of wire links, and hopefully we shall see some action on that thing. Just to further bolster my theory there, I'm on the data line for the alpha display. So the board is definitely working. We're sending data to the alpha display, but we've got a broken trace on the line next door. Oh, we won't do the drum roll, but here we are. Little blip as it initialises the reels. Obviously no reels in it, but doesn't seem to matter with Blackjack. That's the other version of Blackjack. And it's quite lazy programming for Barcrest. Doesn't have an attract mode. Watch this. Just sits and says, play me. That's about it. That's all you get. I have checked my logic probe though on the input side of the real drivers is pulsing. Pulsing appropriately is what was trying to spin reels up, so I think for all intents and purposes that's working. A couple of things left to do to it. I need to reinstall a resistor there and put cables back on for the battery and give it a proper play test, but yeah, all good. Now, as I said earlier, it is not new parts. You see this LS22 here, the lights are a little bit rough. Now, it's a non-working one out of good board, out of scrap board. But I don't even think, I think I borrowed that out of a non-good board. I've got some flux to clean off that. I've tinned up the remains of those traces there. I suspected the alpha display traces were gone, which is what that is. I've linked it on the underside with a couple of wire links going to these resistors here. I've fed the wire links around the board. Try to keep them away from the high power stuff, and I'll give them a wee dab of hot glue to keep them in place. And that's about that. I do have an MPU4 game I can test in, but we're not quite at that level yet. So, still got a couple of spare processors and stuff over there. I've got that pile of things to work through, and I need to put my spares pile away. No, I'm not a hoarder, those are all dead boards. There's another one down there. They're necessary in this day and age, because like I said, the 6821, you can't get a genuine one for love nor money. You'll get plenty of 6821s, but unless you're very, very lucky, they're usually Chinese, stuff like that. Or they're pools. So, the ones I've used came off a board that had a real fault. Some of these were burnt out. That's all she wrote for now. Does it fully work? We need to put it on the machine and test that. Before we do that, we need to button up the rest of this and get the resistor on. But, yeah, I apologise for my finger being in the shot there. Bye for now.